Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night from wherever you are watching. My name is Kayshawn and welcome to Kayshawn Talks. Before I get started on today's topic, I just would like to start with a short prayer for us. Please bow your heads. Lord, you are welcomed here. You are welcomed into our environment. You are welcomed into our hearts with open arms. We thank you for waking us up today, Lord. We thank you for allowing us to open our eyes and getting ourselves out of bed. We thank you for allowing us to choose another day to be better, choose another day to walk, talk, and act with purpose. Lord, thank you for all of the wisdom. Thank you for all of the discernment. Thank you for all of the guidance, the protection, the support, the love that you shine down on us, God. I ask that you continue to bless us. Thank you for allowing me to be here today on YouTube and allowing people from all over the world to tune in today to praise you, Lord. Thank you. Whoever is on here and is interested or curious about who you are, Lord, I ask that you shine your light on them and give them the guidance that they need. Whoever is here to cause negativity in this space, Lord, I ask that you remove them from here. Thank you so much. I am forever grateful. Again, Lord, you are welcome here. You are welcomed into our environment and you are welcomed into our hearts with open arms. Amen. Yes. How are y'all doing today? Let's talk about it. The sun is out. Skin's looking great. I'm feeling great. Today I'm here to talk to you guys about my spiritual journey and how it started. This video is going to be a long video. So grab your popcorn, grab your vegetables if you don't want to get popcorn, grab your water, your soda, whatever it is that you love, and grab it because you're about to learn a lot about your boy today. So part one, who am I? My name is Kayshawn. As you know, I'm 32 years young and your boy's from Boston and transplant here into the nation of Texas. And yes, I continue to say nation of Texas. I'm getting up and I'm walking around as I talk. So for a little bit about my work history and who I am that shapes me into who I am today, I have been an educator instructionally and non-instructionally for approximately 11 years. I started off volunteering in an after-school program where I then was able to get a lot of knowledge in advance from just volunteering to getting offered a position as an assistant, from an assistant to being able to be hired on as an after-school educator, where I then became an after-school educator that is allowed to work with a 21st Century Grant, which is a program that grants different curriculum-based activities that incorporate mathematics, reading, technology, and all that good stuff for the kiddos. And then I became a behavioral support specialist. While I was doing that, your boy was studying in school. I was going to community college where I obtained my associate's degree, associate's science, in the concentration of education, where I also was a part of the National Honor Society in school. And I was volunteering my time as a cheerleading coach in Everett, Massachusetts. Wow, I did a lot. And I was working out and I was just trying to be a simpleton adult. I then while I was working in the after school program, I had an opportunity to work in the actual school system. So I started working in the school system as I was working in the after school system, volunteering and going to school. I started off as a paraprofessional, which is an assistant to the teachers. I started working off with a special needs group, kindergarten through second grade. As the time progressed, the knowledge progressed, I got better. I then was offered positions as ABAs, substitute teaching, and behavior support paraprofessional, and then when I moved to Texas, I became a Making Connections paraprofessional. All of these fields were great. It was a great opportunity for me to see what it's like in the school system and where I wanted to take my degree when I finally transferred over. I decided to drop out of school due to seeing how the world works, honestly. When I was like 27, I realized that no matter what we do when we're working, we do not have enough money to pay things back due to the cost of living, due to inflation, and due to how college is set up. You go to school, you pay a certain amount of money per semester, you get out, and then you go get a job that you need experience for, and that won't even pay you at least as much as it costs for you to go to college a year. So I realized, why not just drop out and continue to work as a paraprofessional? Therefore, I wouldn't have the responsibilities of being a lead teacher. I won't have the responsibilities of dealing with other parents' children. A lot of parents don't parent their kids the way that most people would. So, when they come to a different facility, they act a different way. But that's that. I eventually retired from teaching this year. I am 32 years old. I worked as an all-star cheerleading coach as well. I told you earlier I volunteered. I had an opportunity to work alongside Total Inspiration Athletics, which was amazing. There I learned how to coach using character development, which was a great. We took some positive words each week and taught them to the children and taught them how to implement them towards themselves, implement them towards their family, towards their community, towards the world, towards the gym, towards their teammates. And it really helped create actual people. And I say actual people because it was about the personality based off of what the kid does. And most sports is it's mainly based off of what the children can do, which is kind of a crazy concept because it's like, hey, I really don't know you. I don't know what your life at home is like, but here you are. Your parents are paying me money. I'm going to make you a celebrity. And I'm going to say I care about you, but like, I just actually care if I get a winning. That doesn't mean anything because a trophy doesn't guarantee you a scholarship. A trophy doesn't guarantee you to make money. A trophy doesn't guarantee anything, really, to be honest with you. So we were more on that kick. When I moved out to the nation of Texas, I continued to coach, and I worked in a facility that was open for 2 years. They basically started here. In 2 years they got here, and when your boy got there, I was able to take them here. And I'm not going to say all the way up here, just here, because when I did leave, they're still continuing, and I wish them nothing but the best. But that was that. And I am an international Caribbean Carnival designer. My business is called Mass in Motion, which stands for Masqueraders in Motion. It's basically different people with Caribbean backgrounds coming together to create a positive experience where people can be with people like themselves and spread love, and there's not really any hate or discrimination taking place. And because I had such great people in that business, I thank them so much because Mass in Motion was a success in the 5 years. I couldn't become international without them. I had a great number of supporters behind me. I had a great number of models who did a phenomenal job studying their craft and selling the products that I made. I had great seamstress, because your boy don't sew. I was paying seamstress. I'm just sending them my drawings, and they were sewing things. I had great DJs who were promoting, and like they knew their craft, and they were playing great music. Like I had a great team. So we went international, and I'm very thankful for that. So thank y'all. If y'all are watching this, y'all are the best. Thebomb.com. That's what y'all are. So yes, that is a little bit of who I am and my little history of what I've been doing. So part 2. So yes. So I worked in the school system. I retired at 32, and a lot of people would be like, wow, what are you doing? How did you retire? And I'm like, why is that your reaction? Because I retired, it's because of money. Like, I retired because I had to put me first. Like, a lot of people will not put themselves first. They will continue to allow an atmosphere to affect their mental, which will affect their physical, and which will affect their spirit. And I couldn't do it anymore. It was like 11 years of me teaching, and I was a child myself, you know. I'll get into my upbringing a little bit, but I was a child myself. Can you only imagine, like, 22 working in the school system when you get an actual paycheck? What responsibility is there? Like, there's none. There's no responsibility, you know? Like, and I had a roommate, so anyways, I was basically raising kids because some parents weren't raising kids. So I'm now a parent, I'm now a psychologist, I'm now a doctor, a nurse. Like, I gotta go to CPR training, CPI trainings, like, and I'm an educator. Like, that's a lot. I've been doing that for a really long time. So when I got out to Texas, like, I just realized, like, this is exhausting. Like, I'm repeating myself. I've been repeating myself for 11 years because other adults don't do their job, you know? And it's a domino effect. If you're hired as an educator and you're not happy with your job and you're complaining about your job, you're gonna cause stress for the students. And if you're not gonna speak up with what admin's doing, then when you cause stress on the students, you cause stress on everyone. Like, it's a lot. Like, in that type of a career, people don't care about that stuff, you know. They mainly care about retirement. And I remember at one point I started asking people, did you vote for Bush? This is when I knew it was time to go, because if they responded, I said, well, No Child Left Behind, this is the result of it. And, you know, people would look at me like, excuse me? And I would be like, well, what about your retirements? Who? You know? And then I realized, like, yeah, it's time for me to, like, exit stage left, because I was tired of, like, going above and beyond and taking my work home and trying to figure out how tomorrow would be better when the adults didn't even care. And sometimes, most of the time, the kids didn't even care. And I saw that transition after COVID. I saw how social, emotionally, like, academically, the kids have declined, even adults declined. So I was like, honestly, it's time to take a step back from myself. And when I did that, I took a step back from the gym as well. I took a step back from my business. I took a step back from everything. And before I did that, I started noticing 11/12, which is my birthday. Your boy's a Scorpio. I started noticing 11/12 on the clock a lot, and I'm like, that's weird. Every time I look up, it's 11/12, and this was taking place around September, October of 2023, and this was 2 months before I decided to quit, right before my birthday. That's so funny. Wow, right before my birthday. So you're probably gonna see me catching on to a couple of things I'm saying, because this is a raw testimony. I'm not like gonna be like editing anything, but yeah, I kept seeing it, and there were times, no, let me go back. So I kept seeing that. In between time, in my relationship, there were a lot of things happening with me internally. And I ended up seeing the doctor, and I ended up talking to the doctor, and the doctor diagnosed me with something called PTSD from all my trauma in the past. And because I was using alcohol to suppress a lot of things, I was using sex as well, and I was using drugs. And he put me on bipolar medication. And there was a point where I was like, I don't think I need this bipolar medication. Like, my whole life, I felt like I've heard voices in my head. You know how they say, like, oh, you have like that angel and devil on your shoulder. Well, I was going through that a lot in my life, and I thought it was just me talking to myself. And as I got older, I used to talk to people and be like, hey, like, have you ever like talked to yourself and like had a conversation with yourself? And people were like, yeah, I did. And like, I thought it was normal, so like I just went about my day. But like the type of things that I was hearing like was not normal, you know. So eventually around my birthday, I had this awakening where something took over my body, and it wasn't normal. My fingertips and toe, whatever you call those toes, the tip of my toes became very ice cold. I would sweat a lot, and I would feel like something controlled my body, literally. And whenever I went against whatever it was, I felt weak. I would shake. And it felt like I would lose the connection of whatever was there, like an antenna. You had to move it a certain way. So if I didn't move the way this spirit wanted me to move, I would lose it. And I was like, wow, I was with my boyfriend, and it happened. And I ended up confessing a lot of things that happened in my life. And there was a voice inside my head that was telling me to do it. So I did it. I ended up proposing to him, and things got a lot better. A lot of things that happened in my life were answered, but this voice told me to flush my pills down the toilet. So I flushed my pills down the toilet, and at the time, my fiance didn't understand what was going on. He was like, you need those pills. Like, I was on ADHD pills and bipolar medication because it would even each other out. So because it evened each other out, I got rid of both. And that experience was very positive. After that, I went through a phase where forgiveness, and I started forgiving everyone. I started forgiving myself. I was emotional, and because of a lot of trauma that I went through, which I'm gonna save for another day, which will explain more of my spiritual awakening. Actually, I'll save my trauma for later on in the video. But I started forgiving a lot of things that happened. Actually, I'm gonna do it right now. So I grew up adopted. My parents made a couple of decisions. They were out there gang banging, boom, 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 pew, 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 in the streets. And I'm sorry, y'all, I'm so silly. And I was adopted. And the lady who adopted me kept me and my siblings together, which was amazing. But as time went on, there was a section where I remember that we left to go meet my actual mom, and I was about 6. So I was very confused at the time because I grew up calling a woman mummy, and then I realized I had another mom. So I was very taken back by that, but didn't pay attention to it because I'm a kid, you know what I mean? But I do remember meeting my mom and my brother and other people, and they're like, oh, we're your family, and I'm like, wait, my family's from Montserrat, what is going on? But anyways, I turned 12. My foster mom, my sisters ended up leaving, and I was the last one left, and my second mother, I'm very grateful to have 2 families, by the way. My second mother got dementia, and she started beating me, and I ended up running away to the family that I found out that I had, and I ended up getting put into foster care. In foster care, I was with a nice woman. She's very caring, but she didn't know anything that was happening because I wasn't really telling her about anything that happened. But while I was in foster care, I was at the time, 11 going on 12, and I recall I was molested, I would say. I guess I would say if you don't want to do something and they make you do it, then you're molested. It was some of the teenage boys who were in foster care, and I never told my foster mother what was going on. I was just quiet, and because I was mute, I was given medication. And as time goes on, I turned 12, I believe, watching TV, watching Adult Swim and stuff, not going to sleep at night. There were commercials about, those commercials, your desire, Venus, shaving. And she had one of them in the shower. So I was going to visit my family, and I went to go use the razor. And I didn't know how to shave, so I pressed too hard, and I ended up cutting myself right on this area, and I was bleeding a lot, and I didn't know what to do, so I had to call for help. And when she came in, she was very upset about it. I tried to tell her I didn't cut. I don't think I spoke at all, actually. I don't really remember, but I remember her being what are you doing, trying to kill yourself, and da-da-da-da. And then I was put on a watch, so I was removed from the room with the older kids until she got another boy who was young, and I was put in that room. Things didn't go the best either. He as well were doing some crazy things to me, and I wasn't saying anything. And at the time, I didn't have toys. She used to donate things to her family back in Puerto Rico, and I took 2 Hot Wheels toys, and that was it. That was the cherry on top of the entire ice cream mountain. At that point, I was seen as untrustworthy. I was seen as a hazard. I was seen as danger. because I also was really involved with her family as well, and they had kids. She didn't want me to be an influence on them, so I was put back into foster care in the office, and that happened about 2 years. I was ripped away from school. I was taken away from my families. I was taken away from society, and I was put in a gloomy office with chairs and two offices, and I had a caseworker who was a Indian woman, Middle Eastern or something like that, and she would always tell me nobody wants you because of what you did in life. And I was like 12, and I remember families coming in and being like, you want to be like that kid ain't got nobody, no one loves him, that's why he's here by himself, like type of a situation. So while I was in there, your boy started dancing. I just started dancing in my own head, like, okay, I guess, like, nobody wants me, I'll come in and I'll dance and stuff. And luckily, within the next 2 months or so, I remember going in and out of court, and my sister ended up adopting me, which I was very grateful for. So, I was now shifted into my sister's environment, who has been raised differently and has raised her kids differently. So I was expected to just jump into that. And things really didn't work out. As a teenager, there was just so many rules, and like I didn't really have a lot of time to heal. And I'm saying this now as an adult, like I wasn't thinking about it like that as a child. And I was modeling a lot of things that, like a lot of anger actually. Like I was beating up my like nephew. Like I hated how I was treated differently because I was now family, but I was treated differently from everyone else. So I didn't like it. So I would express it. I got myself into a lot of trouble. And as a teenager, I just felt like I didn't get to live life. Like, why am I in after school programs are being pulled out? But I didn't understand at the time I was babysitting because, she had to make money and stuff like that. People don't explain this stuff to their kids. So I was rebellious, honestly. And, yes, your boy was rebellious. And, things just spiraled differently. And a lot of things happened. When I was 18, I started drinking. I was able to go to the liquor store and buy my own liquor. I started becoming something I wasn't. Like growing up, I was fat and chubby, and then I started doing like courses where I would run. I lost a lot of weight. I was 18 and tall, and I was already dealing with stuff. Like my nickname throughout my years growing up was Gay Sean because I'm gay and I act gay. People could tell I'm gay because of the way I talk. So instead of like just me being a cool kid, I was like the gay kid that no one wanted to talk to and everyone wanted to beat up all the time. So until I got to high school, I was getting beat up until I started beating people up because I had to defend myself. And things like in high school, I remember I moved to a new town. I was informed I was gonna get jumped, so I had to call people. Like at that point, I was like, I'm tired of trying to get to know people. So I like went onto social media, and then I found all these little pages for a bunch of. I really started becoming a bad, watch your mouth. I don't swear anymore. Since I've been saved, but I found a bunch of websites where I ended up meeting a bunch of guys, and at the time I was like, oh my goodness, like they want to talk to me, like me. And I would be walking on the street. I remember like people would stop. Like I've had guys when I was in high school stop me and be like, you're beautiful, what's your name? And I'm like, oh, so and so and so and so, and at the point, like come 2012, like I was like, yo, you know what, turn up. I'm still in high school. I'm like, turn up, like I don't care, like let's go. I'm gonna go meet this person. So here I am meeting guys who are older than me, and at the time I didn't even know that was not a thing. Like I didn't know that like if you were 35 you shouldn't be talking to someone who just turned 18 or who's 17 years old. Like they always used to be like, oh, I'm gonna get in trouble, and at the time I didn't know, so I would be like, oh no, you're not gonna get in trouble. Wild concept. Like, and I always thank God because there's so many things could have happened to me. But anyways, while I was growing up 18 years old, I was volunteering in the school system and doing a bunch of great things. No one knew what I was doing on their back end to take care of myself because I was dealing with a lot of trauma that I didn't know at the time. I just wanted to have fun and be happy. So when I had to be in front of everyone else, I was happy. And I was exposed to weed at the age of 18. My first joint was laced. I didn't know until I turned like 22 that my first joint was laced. I was having sex. I met this guy who I thought liked me. He was like 37, he was pimping me out, which I didn't realize. Like, that's crazy. He used to have a bunch of guys coming over. I used to hang out with him every weekend because I really liked him. Like, and whenever he was bored, he would tell me to come over, and I would walk there because I'd have I didn't care about walking, but I was actually walking like 40 minutes just to his house, which is insane. But anyways, like every weekend there was a guy coming over. We would watch a movie. He would do it. It was wild. But anyways, so like I felt then that I was like, oh, okay, like people like me, like whatever. So the older I got, like I ended up learning what all of this was, and like I just continued doing it because it made me feel good. Like I got attention that I felt like I deserved. People would give me whatever I wanted whenever I wanted it. Like alcohol made me feel great. So these things became normal to me in life. And then became normal to me in life. And then I like moved out to Texas, and it got worse. I was the new guy, you know. Whenever I got online to do something, like I looked great, so everybody wanted to know who I was. So I was giving out my contact information. Everybody wanted to fly me places. I got to Texas, I was the hot shot. Like everybody wanted to take me on dates and stuff. Like I wasn't humble. Like I wasn't being smart. So I got myself into a lot of crazy situations. I should have been dead. Like I could have had AIDS. I could have had some sexual disease that I couldn't get rid of. Look at that sunbeam, and it's beautiful. So many things could have happened to me, but God saved me, made sure that he said, my son, you have a better purpose. At the time, still didn't know. My business was sabotaged. People who I thought were my friends, who I thought were my family, who I would give my all to when I had nothing besides me, they used me a lot. And my business was sabotaged in 2022 after I lost my dad to cancer, and they knew I lost my dad to cancer, but they didn't care. People just did me wrong. People did me wrong in different places and different aspects. And so with all of that processing, in 2023, I had to take care of myself. And after I had that first thing, I became emotional. I started to feel like, and it was unreal because before I wasn't crying. Before I wasn't like, I was just drinking. I was drinking myself to sleep. Like, I don't know if y'all know what Trulies are, but like I would proudly finish off a 24 pack in 2 days and be like, like everything's fine. But I had to do a lot of, healing when I had that happen to me. And after that happened, I realized that I continued to drink, and there were times that I had to force myself to drink. Like I would have alcohol and I would try to go like this, and I couldn't. I didn't understand why. And then I was smoking weed, and when I was smoking, not weed, but I was smoking. And then my spiritual warfare became extremely strong. Like my fiance, I would start saying hurtful things to him. Like we would get into a lot of arguments, and I never knew why until I had an exorcism, but I didn't know why. Like I would say like he lost his dad, and I would say terrible things and pretend I was his dad, and I would just be speaking. It wasn't me, and he would always tell me, you don't look like you. Like I don't know what's going on, but you don't look like you. And I didn't understand what it meant, and he didn't understand what it meant. So we kind of started disliking each other a lot. And then the third time it happened, I was smoking, and I heard a voice. I was already aware that I was with God because I started watching the Bible. And when I watched the Bible, I remember going to sleep, and I remember someone talking to me in my sleep, and I was talking in my sleep, and my fiance woke me up, and he said, "Is everything okay?" And I was like, I think I was talking to God or Jesus, and I was. But back to the smoking situation. So I'm driving home and I'm bawling my eyes out because now I'm listening to gospel. I used to listen to rap, R&B, Beyonce, soca, reggae, and now I'm listening to gospel, crying my eyes out. And I heard a voice talking to me, and he was telling me everything's gonna be okay. I can't smoke anymore. I can't drink anymore. I have to be pure. I'll be able to do it again and later on, but right now I have to be pure to defeat what's happening to me. And I didn't understand it. And the voice would tell me that I'm going to see my dad in heaven. He's in heaven. And I'm just crying my eyes out. And my fiance is like, "Isn't it good to have God with you?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's so good to have God with me." I'm just crying. And I got upstairs. We were walking upstairs. I remember God telling me, like, he's gonna get this job, like this is gonna happen, that's gonna happen. I was just so happy. And when I got upstairs, I felt this gut feeling. And when I got into the apartment, my body took again, this thing took over my body. And I went over and I had to grab my Christmas tree, the top of the Christmas tree like this, and I held it really hard. And this presence took over my body, and it said, call so-and-so, this is God, we need to get this out of him right now. And God helped me with an exorcism, and my fiance was there, and he told him what to do. And there were times where I was switching in and out from the thing talking terrible to my fiance to God talking my fiance into me just bawling my eyes out. I remember it was like this person, me, that person, me, and I ended up coughing up these crazy loogies, like insane loogies. It was, I'm in public, I don't care, I'm gonna try to be enacted. I was like and coughing up loogies, and I had to go spit them out. And like my fiance had to break this bulb because God told me to look into the bulb, and he broke it. I ended up healing his hand. Like, it was insane. And ever since then, your boy has become pure. So before I talk about the visions, I was into aliens and I was into mermaids heavy. And I remember I always used to feel like this weird presence that would come over me in my apartment at times, where I would get goosebumps, and I would hear like sirens singing and stuff like that. Weird, super weird. And then I found out who Cat Williams was, and he was talking about a bunch of things that were going on, and he was talking about how God like led him when he was younger. Excuse me, y'all. Sorry. He was talking about how God led him to places when he was younger, and then I remember that night, January 2nd, I was watching a documentary on a court case about TMZ that posted about aliens, because they were talking about how aliens are real and stuff, and something came over my body and told me to go on Reddit. I went on Reddit. It brought me to this lady, the Master's Voice, and she starts talking about a bunch of things. And that's where I was like, wait a second, like what she's talking about is the things that I've been dreaming about. And I had dreams about like numbers, and I would get up and look up numbers and stuff, and they would always lead to something. So some of the numbers was 27, 25, 10, 10, 10. And when I looked these things up, I found out that they were Stud X is the 101010 numbers, which led to 1976, a cyber attack that they did on Iran, which also led to coming out to how we got the rat race here in America, because they exchanged drugs with Cuba and brought them back to America. There were numbers about 2025, things that are going to happen in 2025. World War III popping off in 2025. I've had dreams about invasions in Texas, and now we have illegal immigrants. And I'm not saying like that's an invasion, but that makes sense. I've had dreams about dead people, zombies, like, and it's just like everything that I've had dreams about, and everything, it's like it's coming to play. And I remember God visiting me one day in my dream and telling me that there was going to be a blackout. And he was giving me ways to prepare. And this is how it started off. I'm gonna explain. So I'm sleeping, right? And this is all I see. A hand on a thing. I'm in Texas, by the way. Turns the power off. The name National Grid appears. I wake up around 3-something in the morning, come out of bed. I start writing. I feel like my hand is moving, by the way. I forgot to mention this. There's times that I've woken up and I would write, and I feel like I wasn't writing. Something was taking over my hand and writing, and it was talking to me, y'all. It wasn't like I was like, oh, just write. It was God was talking to me. So I was like, oh, okay. So I looked it up. It told me where National Grid is located, and it just so happened my family's located in Boston. So I started like explaining to them what was happening and stuff like that. He he told me to get prepare and gather. Wasn't sure what that meant, so I started preparing people and gathering them because I'm like, yo, World War III is about to pop off. Like, we're about to go into a world of like famine. Like, they're already telling us there's protests and stuff happening. Like, I've been having dreams about uncivil arrest. It's happening, you know. Like, if we look at New York City now, like, they are losing their rights to COVID. In COVID, a lot of people lost their rights, as we saw. People could not go to work if they didn't have a vaccine. Anyways, in a nutshell, I'm gifted, and I didn't know I was gifted. And here I am. This is a part of my testimony. And welcome to Kayshawn Talks if you made it this far through. There's a lot of things that I have to tell you guys, and a lot of heads up and a lot of warnings of how you are to prepare. And I know a lot of people are probably gonna be like, oh, this boy's crazy, he's gay, there's no way, he likes men, blah, 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 blah. I mean, you can say that if you want, but don't forget, thou shalt not place false witness on thy neighbor. So don't judge me. If you judge me, you will be eventually judged. And think about it. We're all people of God. In a nutshell, this is Kayshawn Talks. This is a small part of my testimony. I will be planning to go more in detail into a lot of the dreams that I am having. And if you don't believe me, like I said, I love facts. One thing you cannot do is prove a fact wrong. You can have a very strong opinion, absolutely. But opinions are based off of what you believe, not based off of a fact that you can prove, a fact that you can see, a fact that is giving. All right? So, stay tuned. Cause I'm finna rock you and get you ready. And are you ready? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you till next time.